One of my favorite types of killers to play in asymmetrical killer games are ones with notable map presence. The ones that reward map knowledge, timing, and setup more than just sprinting after survivors with a knife. Although, believe me, those killers are fun too. Artful is a perfect example of that philosophy, being a killer that turns the environment into his greatest weapon. However, he's also one of the easiest to mess up if you don't know what you're doing. So it's today's topic on the channel. So in this video, we're going to go over his moveset, how to actually make use of said moveset, and how to navigate the various special rounds in Die of Death as Artful. However, before we do, I'd like to thank everyone who helped with the production of this video. You guys are awesome. Let's get into the video.
Artful Basics.
Artful at its core is a killer that wants you to utilize its entire kit. As a killer with only 680 health and 90 max stamina, 10 less than a regular civilian, you're not going to outlast civilians in a straight chase, so your real strength comes from how well you manipulate the map to keep pressure constant, allowing chases to then go in your favor. As Artful's gimmick is area control, his moveset reflects that, mostly consisting of tools you can set up that'll disrupt civilians if placed right, and we have 4 to go over: Swing, Implement, Copywrite, and Repurpose. Let's start off with the most basic one: Swing. Artful's M1 is pretty good all things considered, being relatively fast with almost no windup. Hitting a civilian with Swing will deal 20 damage to them. After using Swing, it'll go on cooldown for 1 second. It's Artful's M1. What do you expect me to say about it? If you can track where survivors are, you can probably land hits with it. Simple as that. Finally, we get to an actually interesting skill in Artful's toolkit: Implement. Using Implement will cause a short windup, then place a wall at the killer's position. This wall doesn't instantly appear, however, as it instead slowly rises out of the ground, so survivors have a small window of time to step over it. Walls have health, and they'll scale with how many survivors are currently alive. Walls will also naturally lose health over time, and can be punched by civilians with a punch ability or shot by civilians with a revolver ability to destroy them faster. You can also taunt a wall and shoot a banana peel at a wall for some reason, if you want to do that. Walls will also lose 5 health if any killer or civilian with invisibility touches it. After using Implement, it'll go on cooldown for 15 seconds. Now obviously, being able to block a part of the map seems very powerful. Surely there's a cap on how many walls are placed, right? No. Yeah, have fun with that. While you're gonna be using Swing more often because, well, it's your main source of dealing damage, Implement is the more important ability due to it letting you control the flow of the match by blocking off areas of the map or forcing civilians to turn corners slower while you can go right through the wall you placed. Learning when and where to place walls is key, and we'll be going over this more in depth in the strategy section. But to keep things short for now, look for tight pathways on the map, which can be used to loop a killer, and then block those off with Implement. When picking up Artful, you want to competently know how to use this ability early on.
Copyright.
Another ability that gives you some control over the map. Using Copywrite will cause a long windup, then place a music box at the killer's position. Said music box will slow down the closest survivor within range of it. Unlike Implement's walls, music boxes won't passively lose health. However, survivors can still destroy it through punch and revolver. Artful can have up to 2 music boxes on the map at a time. Attempting to create a third will do nothing. After using Implement, it'll go on cooldown for 35 seconds. Where Implement thrives in small corridors, Copywrite is the opposite, being at its best in large open areas where the music box's full range can be utilized. Again, we'll go over this in depth in the strategy section. As Artful has 10 less stamina than the standard civilian, music boxes greatly help Artful even the playing field, as it makes civilians sprint slower and therefore use up more stamina while in the box's range, so Artful can then catch up. It can also make civilians take a less efficient path to where they want to go, again giving you an opportunity to catch up to them. However, Copywrite has one glaring flaw, and that's its fixed amount of music boxes you can have on the map, and that attempting to place a third one doesn't replace a pre-existing music box, but rather does absolutely nothing. After placing 2 music boxes, you're dependent on either survivors breaking a music box you've placed, or going out of your way to repurpose one. more on Repurpose in a bit, in order to place another music box. Because of this, you want to make sure you're placing your music boxes in useful spots, as you're heavily punished for misusing this ability. Figure that out, and you'll be able to reliably close the gap on civilians.
Repurpose.
You really thought placing walls and music boxes was all Artful could do? Repurpose flips Artful's entire playstyle on its head, allowing you to sacrifice your tools for short-term benefits. Using Repurpose will cause Artful to reach forward with his wand and pocket whatever he hits. What you'll get out of the next use of this ability varies on what you pocketed. Pocketing a wall will make Repurpose's next use throw the wall forwards in the shape of a cube, dealing 15 damage to any civilians that come into contact with it, as well as slowing said civilians down. Never repurpose a wall. I know we're not even in the second half of this section yet where I elaborate on the abilities. Never repurpose a wall, it's not worth it. In all of the Artful footage for this video, there isn't a single time where a wall was repurposed. Don't do it. Pocketing a music box will simply make Repurpose's next use give yourself a speed boost for a short duration. However, there's a third way to use Repurpose, and that's by hitting a civilian with it. Doing this will make Repurpose's next use summon a puppet after a long windup. Puppets will go after civilians, and if close enough, attack them too, dealing 15 damage on hit. Puppets also have naturally draining health and will die early if attacked. After using Repurpose, it'll go on cooldown for 5 seconds, 10 if it was used to summon a puppet. Knowing when's best to use Repurpose separates good Artful players from great Artful players. While you can sack a music box for a speed boost, if you don't put that speed boost to good enough use, you just wasted that music box and you'll have to place it down again. If you went through the trouble of landing a Repurpose on a civilian only for that puppet to get instantly shot down by a revolver civilian, you just wasted your time. It's the type of ability that you can't really give a concrete explanation on how to use right. It's gonna come down to intuition and experience you'll get from playing Artful over time. However, I will say that a well-placed puppet during LMS is an amazing tool to corner the remaining civilian, and you should look to have one ready for LMS, but only if you think you can put it to good use. Experiment with Repurpose and see what clicks for you. The more you play Artful, the better you'll get at recognizing those small moments where a puppet or music box speed boost completely flips a match. If you're at this point in the video, I just want to say thanks for watching. If you like what you're seeing, feel free to leave a like on the video so more people can see it. If you want to know when more content drops, feel free to subscribe as well.
Strategy.
Winning games with Artful is all about knowing what map you're on and what to do there, as it greatly changes how you use your tools. Artful's best maps are Grandma's Backyard, Tundra, and the HQ without a doubt. All three of these maps have many places where you can cut off loops, and two of them have places where you can create what I like to call Zephyr boxes, because Zephyr is not a fun enemy to fight, and I'm sure civilians just as much hate when they're boxed in with you with no way out. Grandma's Backyard has this alcove where you can box players in, and the two entrances to the graveyard section of the church aren't that bad either for wall placements. HQ has multiple cubicle areas which can be boxed off with a wall, trapping any unfortunate players there with you. And the corridor separating the two main areas of the map is a great music box spot. While Tundra doesn't have any places where you can set up a Zephyr box, it does have one of the most efficient places to put down a music box, that being on the bridge that connects the two parts of the map together, and a stellar wall spot in this entrance to the cave. Placing a wall in this cave entrance will force civilians to either break the wall or move past you, both of which will typically let you get multiple swings in on them. Baseplate and Teapot Paradise are okay maps with Artful, having good wall spots but nothing special. Baseplate has this bridge connecting the two sections of the map which you can wall off, and another bridge which you can throw a music box down after the map is flooded to force survivors to either trudge through the water at an even slower speed than usual, or go into the water and take chip damage to avoid the music box. Teapot Paradise has some spots you can wall off, but the place is huge and players can just relocate to where your walls aren't blocking stuff off. Temple is without a doubt Artful's worst map, as there's a bunch of real estate and not enough Artful can do with it. There's still some good places you could wall off, but just like Teapot Paradise, players can easily avoid these areas.
Special rounds.
Of course, it's not Die of Death without special rounds swooping in every 3 rounds to shake things up. As of now, there's 5 special rounds you can encounter in Die of Death that you have to watch out for in case you're the killer next round.
Double trouble.
How you navigate Double Trouble depends on who you're paired up with. With another killer that isn't named Artful, you'll want to try and box in survivors with said other killer, as they have better tools for actually dealing damage compared to yours. With another Artful, you now have double the walls and double the music boxes on the field. Put them to good use and win. With the entire lobby as a killer, save for one person, there's bound to be a pursuer or Harkin already locked on the civilian. So primarily focus on blocking off loops and putting down your music boxes instead of directly going after the civilian. If you absolutely need to chase the lone civilian, you could repurpose a music box to close the gap quickly. Evil Scary upgrades your Zephyr boxes into death traps, if it ever decides to swing by one while a civilian is inside, since it'll usually kill the civilian during its rushing phase. That being said, Evil Scary is just as much of a threat to you as it is to the civilians, dealing 200 damage to Artful on contact, making it so Artful can only get hit by Evil Scary 3 times before dying to a 4th, not including any damage the civilians deal to you. Really, be careful, but also don't be afraid to use Evil Scary as a weapon when paired with your area control tools.
Gunslinger.
You die. Yeah, I'm not joking, you just die here. The second lowest health for a killer versus a lobby of gun punch civilians isn't gonna end well for the killer regardless of how good you are at placing your stuff. You can probably win, but it'll be very difficult as you won't be able to use your area control tools due to them locking yourself in place for a few seconds on use, so good luck.
Dienation.
As every killer in this game mode gets 500 health, suddenly Artful no longer has an HP issue. What Artful does have as an issue though is a lack of offensive tools, and the fact that other Artfuls can repurpose your own tools only makes this disadvantage worse. Avoid combat until the very end, and then take out the remaining killers after the playing field has been thinned.
Showtime LMS.
What, you really think I wouldn't cover the silliest LMS Die of Death has? The Showtime LMS is one of the most absurd special LMSs the game has, as it gives Artful 80 stamina and the lone banana peel civilian remaining a better banana peel ability, lowering its cooldown to 1 second, dealing 25 damage on hit, removing all wind up and end lag, and lastly, removing its ragdoll effect, but now knocking back the killer on hit. If you don't want to deal with this LMS, and believe me, it can get annoying at times for the Artful, make sure to not leave a banana peel civilian for LMS, and go after them early if you absolutely want to avoid the Showtime LMS like the plague.
Conclusion.
Artful is the type of killer that makes you feel like a genius when things go right, and an idiot when they don't. When you utilize your entire arsenal and know the best spots to place your tools, the match becomes a mere formality. Unless it's on Temple, of course. I hope you've learned a thing or two about the silly French magician from this video, and make sure to let me know what you think about Artful in the comments. See ya.